So I've been in Canada for 4 years now. Um, so I've been in Canada for 4 years now. I'm a Chinese citizen. I grew up in a city called Ningbo. It's a small city, pretty close to Shanghai, but in general, it's a wealthy city, but it's pretty small, and then there's not a lot of people there. Um, it's completely different from Canadian lifestyle. I mean, the lifestyle is pretty fast paced in general in Asia, and Canadian lifestyle is slower. People take more time to relax, and people take more time to enjoy their life, which I think is super cool, and it's something I learned when I come to Canada. So, funny story: when I came to Canada, I actually did not like this at first. Um, so I applied for University of Toronto, and then it turns out I applied for University of Toronto Scarborough campus, and I just assumed Scarborough is one of the like 7 colleges of U of T, University of Toronto, but it's actually not. It's in a separate neighborhood, and well, I want to say neighborhood, separate district called Scarborough. So I came here, arrived at the airport, and then took a taxi, and the taxi started driving towards downtown. And I see the huge buildings, like holy shit, it's gonna be fun. First time traveling to North America for me, and it's just very shocking to see all the huge buildings and like lifestyles that as portrayed in Hollywood movies. Then later on, we just keep driving. The taxi driver just drove off. We arrived at pretty much a suburb of Scarborough. And it was super shocking. The first meal I had here is like really, really bad Indian food. And then there's nothing else around me. It's near like Kennedy area, which is if you're in Toronto, you know, like it's not a great area. It's one of the worst area actually. So when I arrived, I was actually like shocked, and I lived there because my friend found me this place to live. And yeah, it's not the best impression of North America, not the best impression of Canada, but I think slowly, very slowly, I started to get used to Canadian lifestyle, and I lived through my first Canadian winter, which is actually pretty shocking because back home it probably snows once a year, right? And then here, it's like 6 months underneath the snow. Like the winter is 6 months long, so it's quite a huge difference. In terms of Canadian people, I love Canadian people because when you say they're nice, they're actually super nice. Like most of them want to help you. Most of them like will greet you on the street. Most of them, when you say hi to them, they'll reply with hi. Yeah, so I love Canadian people. And then when I go to university, I actually in my first year tried to make some friends, but like I was slightly socially awkward because my English skill is not perfect. And it's just a lot of barrier, cultural barrier that I don't really connect with the locals yet. So the good thing happens with my second year is I joined this campus group called Dragon Boat Team, right? So Dragon Boat is a 20 people paddling boat, 10 people on each side, and then it paddles on the lake and water. It's a team sport. So I joined the team, and then I just go to like weekly workouts. I think back then it was twice a week of workouts, mostly just strength training and some cardios, running laps and stuff. And it was actually pretty good because Dragon Ball Team is like a huge family. It's like 60 people, and then you know every single person pretty much, and then they all care about you like and your personal growth. So I think like getting into a team sport is the best way, one of the best way to like immerse in culture. Because like when you couldn't speak the language fully, right? Like if your English suck, like I know a lot of people watching this, your English suck, right? Maybe. Now you need to pay close attention because something you can communicate without language is always important. For example, if you're a good artist, go to the painting like club, right? If you're good like sportsman, go to a sports club. If you play really good frisbee, really good hockey, like join the teams. So you can communicate through the hobbies that you already have, and it doesn't require verbal ability much, at least. So that was my personal experience with getting into a team and then knowing more people, practicing my English, and then get to know how like Canadian lifestyle truly is. And I actually really, really enjoy Canadian lifestyle because it's more slow paced. It's more pro-social as well. I feel like people here opens up more, and then you can talk to people more freely. In China, pretty much, when you see someone on the subway, it's a stranger to you, like, you never talk to them. If you talk to them, you're weird. Like, my mom gave me this example. A couple of months ago, she saw someone on the subway, and then there's this young guy, like pretty handsome looking guy, and he started talking to my mom. And I was like, it's so weird. Right? You're a young, like clean dressed guy, like talking to people on the subway. That's so weird, right? But like in Canada, like this somewhat acceptable, at least more acceptable than in China. So I think that's one of the things I like, because people here are more open to new experiences, more open to like talking to others, sharing ideologies, because it's nationality nation in a way, because everyone, at least in Toronto, come from, almost everyone, like more than 80% of people from in Toronto come from other countries and other backgrounds. So they look different physically, and they also share different cultural background, and they bring together this majestic city, in my opinion, that has so much potential and so much depth in it, because there's so many culture that's behind the city. So you might say like multiculturalism is not the best, because like it doesn't focus on one specific culture, so it doesn't have enough steps. I think though, like it could be a way of moving forward, because our society, like if you know anthropology, culture doesn't matter, right? It's just a construct, right? A lot of people share the same culture, but like it's completely malleable. You can grow to fit in another culture. You can grow to fit in another culture very quickly as a human being. And when these cultures merge, it becomes something new, something different. For example, in Toronto, like I love doing this. I go to different restaurants, and then pretty much for lunch I eat Afghan food, for dinner I eat sushi, I eat Japanese food, I eat Korean food. So there's so many different options out there, and they're around similar price. There's nothing that's specifically expensive, because they're all like using kind of similar ingredients, similar priced ingredients. I wouldn't say similar ingredients, but you can essentially try everything. And this lifestyle is just amazing, right? Compared to like a very like boring. I don't want to say boring, but like because Chinese culture only has one major dominating force, which pretty much just means that the culture on itself is quite similar. If you go from like city to city, if you go from province to province, there are variabilities, but still the core like values and ideologies are the same. But Canadian culture is so different, because even like one city apart, you can feel a completely different lifestyle. If you go to like Northern Ontario, Muskoka, like countryside Ontario place, but you can just feel like people there live such different life that our life are pretty much incomprehensible by them, and their lifestyle, like we don't get it, right? Yeah, for example, like if you live in Northern Ontario, like we Torontonian, like city people, think it's gonna be super boring because they don't have enough socialization. There's not much going on in their town, so how will they enjoy their life? But they get it. Like they can use nature, they can use all of these sports, like outdoor activities, to fill their life, and then they can go to church, be an active member of the society, of the community, and then be known by everyone in the town, and then know everyone in the town. It's something that we don't have. So they can also live by that way. And it's just completely different lifestyles from city to city. And you go to Montreal, it's a completely different place, right? It's pretty much Europe. Like it's a North Americanized Europe. People there live super chill lifestyle. They have amazing art. I've never seen art anything like that in China, in like the rest of Canada. Like there's nothing like Montreal art, like just so different. They think about how to enjoy life. They think about how to live to their best self, best potential. And we in Toronto, we focus more on making money, making better business, making better use of the time. So it's so different than people in Montreal, the lifestyle of it. And slowly, in my second year, I started to know like more people on campus, and I get to know a lot of new friends. And from these friends, I have way more experiences. Canadian experiences. I love it because I got know that in China. So And slowly but surely, I make more friends and then I get more connections. And it helped me improve as a person. It kind of fulfilled like my drive to grow, drive to experience something different, and drive to become like someone that I don't think I could become. So yeah, I really loved my experience in Canada. Later on, I started to grow even more. I started to like run for student union and be an active member that participate in the university, and I get like better and better grade after every term. Literally, my GPA, my grade point average increased every single term. Like it's steady but surely. There's an increase, and I get to know how to actually study for university courses, and I go to office hours for with different professors, and I help out in FSGs. I help out like hosting study sessions, and I think those are super valuable as well, because I didn't know I am capable of that. So some backstory, like in China, I'm not the best student. Like I literally suck at math, and I'm not too good at science, especially not physics. So I'm actually surprised that I can do well in school at university here, and I'm surprised that there's other dimension to learning. So for me, I don't like math. That's the reason I'm not good at it, right? But I like human psyche. I like psychology. I read psychological books in high school for fun. That's what I like. So I can, now in university, I know I can do better in it because I enjoy the topic and I do fundamentally want to learn more. And I know for a fact that I can apply this knowledge that I learn in the future, which I couldn't say for math, for calculus, things like that. So that's part of the reason I chose psychology as my program. And I really enjoy creative writing as well, because when I was younger, I wanted to be a writer for the longest time. And I like reading a lot of books. I read almost like one book per day. Sounds crazy, but that's actually true, because in middle school, I don't like going to classes. I just like getting book from the library and then reading it underneath the table during class. And luckily, like not a lot of teacher has an issue with it. The teacher that does has an issue with it. Like I kind of like passed that problem over. But yeah, I love to read books then. And then I just feel like now in Canada, I've become a like more independent, better version of myself. And this is something that I don't think Chinese students will get in their Chinese universities, or like if you're in, like from Pakistan. And it's hard to get it from Pakistani universities, because when you don't leave home, when you don't live too far away from your culture, from your parents, you don't get to see your true potential, like that's written in your gene code. Like you don't get to see how much of a difference you can make in the world. So I think that's something also very valuable to me. Yeah, so this video just trying to tell you a little bit about my experience as an international student in Canada, and then what I feel about the country, and then what I feel about the experiences that I gained. And then the best education I got from here is not really the education in the university curriculum per se, but it's around that. It's something I learned, that how can I become an independent person, and how can I think independently, how can I get new experiences independently, and how can I grow, how can I make money as an independent person. These are all super important lessons to me that can only be taught in Canada. So yeah, not in Canada, but like abroad in general. So yeah, that's my story. Thank you so much. See you next one.